to end the 6-game homestand, which is a season-long run for the 76ers. They fall in a close game to the Miami Heat by a final score, 108-101, pushing their record back to 20-30, 10 games under 500. And a lot to talk about in this one, from the defense to the offense, rebounding, turnovers, which they were very good in. But in the end, they still lose by 7. How did it all happen? We'll discuss it right here on the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app using code PHLY365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365 alongside Rich Hoffman. I'm Devon Givens. Bree is producing. All of you, great to be with you here in the chat. The final game before the trade deadline, which is tomorrow at 3 p.m. in the association. We'll get to the latest with Jimmy Butler and Golden State. We'll give you our player of the game, a real crazy WTF moment of the night. We know you saw it, but do you know that this is the winner for this one tonight? We need to start asking people, what was the WTF moment that we have, just to kind of get an idea of what they thought was crazy in the game. What do you think our WTF moment of the night is? We'll get to that later. We'll check in with the fellas from the arena as well. But first, Rich, before we get to your takeaways, man, just a bummer of a game. Both teams played last night. Only one had to get on an airplane, though, after losing by 9 to a team that they were better than. They should have beaten them. They were leading by a nice margin in that one where you thought Miami would defeat the Chicago Bulls. But they get on the plane and they come to Philadelphia tonight. And I understand that Joel Embiid did not play tonight. But as you alluded to with Paul George coming back, hey, Joel comes back, he helps you win a game. Can Paul George do the same thing?
I asked that question before the game, Devon.
You did, which is why I brought it up.
And we got an answer.
And he was not
yes.
good.
Yeah, he was bad. They were bad. And on a day when the Sixers made a trade that I certainly did not care for, and we talked about that during our pregame show. You guys can go check that out if you want. We talked about the KJ Martin salary dump, the $45 million trade that will help the Washington Commanders' coffers next year, I'm sure.
Yeah.
After a bad trade, they got a bad effort tonight. And when I say bad effort, I just mean bad performance.
Because you may have been able to use, if KJ Martin were to play last night, if he missed last night but was active and available for tonight, maybe he's helping you on the glass tonight.
It's a great point. That's half of it. And then what was the other thing we talked about during the pregame, man? We talked about, okay, one of the benefits of that move, one of the only benefits is that you can sign expensive buyout guys. And the guy we settled on as a possibility, Lonzo Ball.
Welcome home, Ben Simmons.
In the middle of the game. It's going to be slim pickings.
It's going to be slim pickings.
In the middle of the game, it gets announced that Lonzo Ball has signed a contract extension with the Chicago Bulls. Pretty shocking, honestly. But you know what? Good for him. Good for them. So just everything went poorly tonight. There's a lot to talk about. Yeah, I think we can talk about Paul George. I think if we get into the three things, I think the big takeaway is that the first half, they were awful on defense. Second half, awful on offense. You can't be terrible on both ends of the floor for half the game and expect to win, man.
Miami tried to let you be awful on both ends of the floors in 2 halves. They tried. Couldn't take advantage of it, though.
Yeah, and we can get into a little bit of the details because there are some interesting things I want to discuss about that. As you mentioned, PG comes back, and he was bad. He was bad, and we'll get into it. I guess the main possession that's sticking out to me, there's 2 of them. He takes Bam Adebayo off the dribble on a switch.
Yeah.
And he goes nowhere because he really can't get by anybody. And he takes a turnaround jumper, and it was about 5 feet short. And I thought Paul George did some good things defensively, but there were other possessions as well, Devon, where he had Tyler Hero on him, and he really wasn't going by him. When he did go by somebody, he couldn't score around the rim. Maybe some of that is rust because of the pinky thing. But yeah, I mean, you kind of forget what the Paul George experience is like, and it just, when he has these bad offensive games, it's pretty tough to watch, man. Like, he can't really create any sort of offense, any sort of advantage, and I guess you just got to hope it'll be better. But the only times that he scored tonight were when the Sixers had like awesome ball movement and he made the three at the end of it. That's cool. But the rest of the stuff offensively was pretty poor. Good defense. Like, again, like as an off-ball defender, he did some good stuff, but yeah, not a good night from him. And then the third thing I had for Bree was that I just thought it was a big missed opportunity for the Sixers to move up. Devon, I mean, they're chasing the Miami Heat in the standings. And like you said, Miami played last night. It's not just that, I get it. The Sixers look tired, but they look tired too. And they had to get on a flight after losing last night. And you had a chance, I think, to get back to 3.5 games behind them in the standings with everybody in between them bunched in between 11 and 6. Would have been an awesome game to win. Really had a chance. You had PG coming back. And it was just a really poor performance due to poor defense, poor shooting, some weird lineup choices by Nick Nurse. There's a lot of things we can get into. But yeah, that's a disappointing one for sure.
Yeah, and just another, we'll talk about trades later, but another trade just went down according to Shams. The Milwaukee Bucks, as part of their deal with Kyle Kuzma, the Washington Wizards, they're acquiring, Jericho Sims from the New York Knicks as well. So
wheeling and dealing in Milwaukee.
Yes, they
today.
are. Yes, they are. So we'll see about that one as well. But can I say this too, as you talk about the Paul George thing with tonight, and it's alluding to what you pointed out in the pregame, which was watching Joel Embiid come back with the struggles that we typically see from him after a long layoff. He was off for a month. He comes back and he gives you a triple-double. I understand that and it wasn't a great triple-double, but he did a lot in that one, way better than what we're used to seeing from him when he does come back from a long layoff.
Absolutely.
Paul George, yes, he's dealing with a finger issue, but every time we've seen him come back from an injury, it seems like he has to, as we call it, the ramp up. His ramp up seems to be now the Joel Embiid ramp up, where he does not have a good game coming off of missing time.
No, he doesn't.
And I'm trying to really understand why that is. Is it the fact that we know, yes, he's 30-something years old and he's a little bit older, but he had some time off. And part of the thing that they mentioned in the early part of the year when he was going to have missed some games was to give him some load management games, to give him some rest. He had rest, Rich. He had really good defensive matchups where he could have taken advantage, as you just laid out, whether it was Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, Terry Rozier, posting him up.
Maxey's the one who had the hard guys on him. He had Pelle Larson and Haywood Highsmith. He had the tougher matchups tonight. So Maxey struggled,
yes,
but there was a reason behind it.
Yeah, and then when he did have those tough ones like Bam Adebayo on him, he's dribbling the air out of the ball again or taking it into the defense where Bam Adebayo is making him either pick the ball up or have to recircle to get the ball back out to the perimeter and then eventually pass it, which is wasting about 7 to 10 seconds on the shot clock. So as much as we get on Embiid, because we've had a longer experience with him of returning from injuries, because yes, he's had multiple and he's been here for 10 years total, but he's been here for all this time. What's Paul George's excuse here for coming back from this time off? Not the knee, talking about a finger now. I'm not saying it's an easy thing to play, but he played. And he took 11 to 12 shots tonight. I mean, you got to be better.
He went 3 of 6 from 3. He was 0 of 5 inside the arc.
You got to be better.
Was the best thing. The catch and shoot stuff was the best thing he did all night. Yeah, I mean,
you got to be better.
He's not Joel with the huge frame. He does have a bunch of injuries throughout his career. He's also kind of old too. But yeah, I mean, that was a bummer. You would wish that he would be able to impact him. Like, he's had a lot of time off, a lot of time to figure out the splint he was wearing. And yeah, it just wasn't very good. Now, look, so, the rest of the team wasn't very good, but he wasn't very good.
But as a result, it was one thing that we talked about. Watching these guys play without Embiid and Paul George, the way that they were, we had a conversation on this show after, I believe it was the Denver game. If not the Boston game, it was the Denver game. Hey, these guys are playing this up and down pace. I understand Maxey looked tired tonight. Eric Gordon looked tired tonight. Multiple players on the team did look fatigued tonight. However, when you see that, why is Ricky Council not getting in until late in the third quarter? Why are we if he's out there on the floor, and I know we're
going to get the Nick Nurse.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, if that is the case and you're looking for that infusion and you need some energy out there on the floor, and you also see that even Paul George is lacking in that, I mean, come on, man. I mean, what we saw from those guys were getting up and down the floor over the last week and a half. And maybe it did catch up to them tonight as a team in totality. But Miami was trying to give you this game.
They were.
And you forced them into 22 turnovers tonight. You only coughed the ball up, 4 or 5 times this evening? And you lost.
It's really hard to do.
That's hard. Even when you lose the rebounding battle by 12, you forced them into 22 turnovers to your 4 or 5 miscues, and you did not win the basketball game. That is very difficult to do. So that part is also disappointing. In a loss where we can talk about a lot of good things, Miami tried to give you the game. They got on an airplane last night after a loss to Chicago where they put up 124 points. This was a low-scoring affair tonight where you often talk about if you protect the basketball in a close, low-scoring game like the 76ers and the Miami Heat had tonight, you're most likely going to win that game. They found a way to lose the game, which is very disappointing. Paul George did not play well. And if they maybe had a little more energy off the bench and playing a player like Ricky Council, just doing a little bit more, just to give a little bit more energy, that infusion there that could have been used at some point to maybe when you took the lead to expand it a little bit, get those extra rebounds that we saw them struggle tonight, they probably could have had a much better chance. Close game, but a better chance of winning this basketball game.
So, yeah. So he's the frontline story. Frustrating night. We'll see. We'll see if he gets better. So the defense in the first half was awful. I am so sick of watching somebody like last night. It was what's his name? Dante Exum just walking to the rim in the first quarter. And tonight it's Tyler Hero, who's a good player, all-star, all those things we can quibble over whether he should have made the all-star team or not. But he's just walking to the rim because of botched switches. And Devon, the one thing I will say about this, because you mentioned the turnover battle, the Sixers did about as good in the turnover battle as you can do tonight. And I want to say that since January 1st, they have forced a bunch of turnovers. That is clearly their thing. That is something that Nick Nurse defenses have done for a long time. Here's the problem. They're bad at every other thing on the defensive end. And I am wondering that if they sell out for all of these turnovers, and look, they got deflections like crazy tonight. They probably should have scored more off of it and gotten out in transition and scored more. You know, when you got Kelly Oubre and Maxey and PG getting all of these deflections, that's great. But when you miss, when you overhelp, when you leave guys open, there's a little bit too much. We're hoping an NBA player misses a wide open shot in this defense. I mean, Devon, I understand that Joel has been out since January 1st for the most part. I know it was a couple days after the new year that he came back. Mm-hmm. So you're at a deficit there. But they're just selling out for turnovers, and they're the worst team in the league at opposing teams' field goal percentage. Like, they're just giving up. Their first shot defense is horrible. And then the other part is that not only is the first shot defense horrible, they're the worst defensive rebounding team in the league as well. Now, some of that is personnel. I would even argue a lot of it is personnel. People are talking about the Kyle Lowry, Reggie Jackson minutes. Okay, that's a very small team. That is going to contribute to the poor defensive rebounding. But man, I also want to preface this by saying I understand that every team has its strengths and weaknesses. It's not usually that you build the 2016 Warriors that they're just good at everything, right? Every team, even a team like Oklahoma City this year, they are sacrificing on the boards to be really good at everything else. But man, there is nothing more deflating that when your team forces a missed shot, it's like a crisis. It's like, are they going to just get lucky? Is the other team going to miss the tip in? Is the ball just going to bounce to Tyrese Maxey in the right spot? I mean, they are getting hammered on the boards pretty much every single night. And I just want to say that it's rough to watch. They are forcing turnovers, but they are so bad at everything else on defense that I'm not really sure it matters all that much.
Well, when you look at the numbers tonight, as far as the rebounding goes, 54-39, and on the offensive glass, it was pretty even.
They're 13, good at offensive glass.
13-11 on the offensive glass, but we were sitting there yelling at each other, all three of us, And we're sitting there going back and forth like, hey guys, you're gonna grab, secure one of these boards because their second chance points. The Sixers actually won the second chance points tonight, 12-6. But they got tonight and they shot 13 more field goals than the Miami Heat did. Again, hard to do.
All because of the turnover
Yep.
game. So again, the turnovers were great tonight. Like if you win the turnover battle like that, you should normally win easily.
Free throws even. 3-pointers only separating by 2 more makes for Miami. Again, getting out in transition, getting that 25 points off of their turnovers is fantastic to just your 6. But yeah, as you pointed out, man, the open shots overall for them to be able to shoot 47% and 41% to the Sixers 38 and 30.
There's a balance, right?
Yeah,
right. I get it. NBA defense is hard. All of these guys are really good. You are not going to be able to take away everything. But man, I feel like they have they've gone way too far towards one extreme.
Yeah.
And hopefully Joel coming back. Although, when you listen to him talk after the game, he kind of mentions, he's like, well, I don't want to get too involved down low because he's worried about getting injured again. So it's an understandable thing. So I'm not sure even Joel coming back, like the cavalry is gonna really help them as much. So here's a question for you. Should they play? There was one thing Nick Nurse did. There was a bunch of things that Nick Nurse did tonight. I should rephrase that frustrated me. There was a sub. It was like early in the fourth quarter, and Yabusele comes back in the game. And he comes back, and they show who is going to the bench, and it's our guy, Adam Bonus, who had a very nice game tonight.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see Yabu and Bona to get those stops because Kyle Lowry, who was on the court at the time, was giving them nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. So at that point, it was going to be Gordon, Oubre, and Maxey along with the 2 bigs. You needed help on the glass. And we saw some really good individual performances defensively on the perimeter, standing up the other guys that were out there, man, trying to get by him, standing up with Jaime Jaquez trying to take him off the dribble.
He's a good switch defender.
Standing up with Tyler Hero a few times, standing them up individually. And I thought he did a really good job. And when we talk about the issues rebounding and needing to secure a defensive board, you probably got to give him an opportunity, man, down the stretch. He was having one of his better games as a pro, and he was sitting on the sideline for the remainder of it in the fourth quarter.
And it also felt like watching that game and watching them struggle to secure boards. I'm not saying that KJ Martin is the modern day Dennis Rodman or Moses Malone or anything.
No,
but
helped.
They were playing lineups that had Eric Gordon, Kyle Lowry, Reggie Jackson, and like Ricky, I think, or somebody on the court. Anyway, it wasn't great. Wasn't very big lineups. It's, if you look at the plus minus tonight, those lineups weren't bad. Kyle has mentioned this, by the way, in a lot of his post-game recaps, that the Jackson Lowry lineups actually have graded out pretty well on the season. Man, it doesn't feel that way.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
No.
And that was exactly what tonight felt like. I mean, Reggie did make some shots, so give him credit for that.
Yeah.
But man, Quentin Grimes can't get here soon enough.
We need to see him. We need to see him soon.
Caleb Martin, take that physical, man.
Yeah, what are you doing, man? Is he about to go on the trail like
yes,
like Glenn Robinson,
the Oregon Trail,
and Alec Burks going out there? All right, we're gonna take a quick break. We come right back. We have a lot to discuss in this one as the Sixers fall 108-101. The NBA trade deadline is 3 p.m. on Thursday. A few deals went down during the evening. And some stuff coming across in the moment as we're doing the show right now. So we're going to let you guys know what's going on. If you have not seen those, talk about them, continue to talk about the game, and look ahead to what's next with the Detroit Pistons on Friday based on what the Sixers roster is going to look like after tomorrow. When we come back, we'll get into it all right here on the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show, which is presented by Bet365. Rothman Orthopedics has been a longtime sponsor of the PHLY Sixers show, and we could not be more thrilled to continue the partnership with them as we go along. And as I've been telling you for the entirety of my time here as part of the show, I would not be walking around as smoothly, as swiftly as I have been if not for Rothman Orthopedics fixing my ACL and my Achilles in the span of 5 years, because I get after it as a basketball player. I still like to go out there and continue my weekend warrior play. And as a result, I had those 2 major injuries. But with the help of Rothman Orthopedics, and they're specializing in you and me and everything that you can think of, from hip, knee, spine, you name it, they take care of it. They get you back to yourself by partnering up with them and trusting them to get you right, to get you back to what you love doing. Rothman's 200 plus fellowship trained physicians. They subspecialize in those specific areas of the body, and a multitude of orthopedic surgeons, again, surgeries including hip, knee, spine, shoulder, elbow, foot, ankle, hand and wrist, sports medicine, physical medicine, rehabilitation, orthopedic oncology, and trauma and fracture care. And after all of that, you need, before those things to happen, x-rays, orthotics afterwards, MRIs before, PT, and much more. Rothman Orthopedics, they have you covered. And for more than 50 years, Rothman has participated in thousands of groundbreaking research and clinical trials with goals of achieving knowledge, developing treatments, and improving outcomes for the benefit of their patients. That is me, and that is you. Rothman Orthopedics, they specialize in us, to making sure that we are back to normal. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY to learn more and make an appointment today.
And Devon, let's talk about our friends at Ace Hardware Home Services. Do you have a leaky pipe? At Ace Hardware Home Services, they are around the block with everything you need to fix that leaky pipe, including the person to do the fixing. Do you have an air conditioning issue? They have a person for that too. Got a faucet that you said you'd fix last year? They have a person for that too. Because now Ace is not just the helpful hardware folks. They're also the helpful hardware, or they're also the helpful home service and repair folks. From plumbing to heating and cooling, they've got trusted pros to keep your home humming all year long. Ace Hardware Home Services, they are bringing helpful home, the helpful you love, from the store and now to your front door. And Devon, Ace, they bring experience, man. They are local plumbers and techs that handle everything from repairs and seasonal maintenance to installations and upgrades. They bring understanding, they listen to you, the customer's goals, and the job isn't completed until you are satisfied. And they bring helpful to your home so you can spend more times on the projects that really matter. So go on and visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at www.acehardwarehomeservices.com to get you started on your next project.
All right, welcome back to the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show, which is presented by Bet365. You know, we had a super chat from Bernard McCoy. I want to get to that one pretty early because it was right on what we were talking about with the Bona, Adam Bonus, as we affectionately like to call him for fun here on the show. Must win. Team makes me sick. From Nick Nurse coaching, playing Lowry, and not playing Bona more. He was rolling and kept us in the game. All caps with, let me count them, 6 exclamation points. It looks like 5, 6 exclamation point. Hopeless. Bernard McCoy in the super chat. Thanks for the donation, Bernard. We really appreciate it. As always, what are your thoughts on that super chat there, Rich?
Love it, Bernard. I would say, Bernard, why don't you stick around for the player of the game presented by no one? I think you might enjoy it.
Yes, but good stuff. And stick around for the show, as you always do, Bernard. So let's talk about Nick Nurse a little bit in this one.
Oof.
And
man, he was mad at those refs. What did people think of that? I think that was the maddest I've ever seen him at the refs, man. He was like huffing and puffing. He was like, he was trying to get teed up.
Yeah, he was hot. He was hot in this one. Yeah, he was ticked off. There were a few questionable things, of course, in the flow of a 48-minute game, and we thought a few of them went against the Sixers, but also against the Miami Heat as well tonight.
There was one where Oubre chopped Rozier across the arm.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Yeah, it was really bad. But what did you make of his coaching tonight? We've given him a lot of credit over the last 2.5 weeks for the job that he has done, and tonight he was not all that great.
No, and I think my big issue with him is they had dead legs tonight. They were tired on the second half of a back-to-back. So why did it take so long for Ricky Council, who's been playing a lot better, to get in the game in the first half? And then also, where is Justin Edwards down the stretch? Going to play Eric Gordon over him? Eric Gordon, his first 2 shots, he airballs a 3 and he airballs a layup. Again, like, Eric Gordon will probably be okay in a couple games, hopefully for another team.
He looked tired Flat out. He looked tired.
Winona said that Nick was hotter the time that he and Kelly cursed the refs out. That's fair. That was something, all right. Last year?
And that's why they got fined.
That was an all-time. That was an all-time show when we did the lip reading for that game.
Yes.
I had a lot of fun that night.
Yes,
we're actually not alled to curse like that anymore, everybody.
Yeah,
so.
But you were on that one. You were like, oh, but nah, he was ticked off. But Eric Gordon looked tired tonight, man. You go with the fresh legs there. You go with the fresh legs.
I thought Edwards was playing. I mean, again,
he was fine.
Minus 17, but I thought he was fine. Again, it's not even about tonight, too, man. Like, he deserves the benefit of the doubt. Keep playing that kid. Also, you were struggling to shoot tonight. I know Edwards was only 1 of 4, but he's still willing to shoot the ball. Right?
And as you said, Ricky has been playing a pretty good brand of basketball, playing under control and all of that. And he did not call his number until, the third quarter? Somewhere in the third quarter?
Especially on the second night of a back-to-back, too. That's a guy who he's not playing huge minutes, and we know is like the fastest, most athletic guy on the team. Just throw him out there to cause some chaos. And Ricky's been passing the ball well, all that stuff. Now Ricky didn't play great tonight, but
in the third quarter,
he also should have been in the rotation earlier.
He played 1:30 in the third quarter. So through 3 quarters, he played 1 minute and 30 seconds. That's it. This is a guy who's been playing 20, 25, close to 30 minutes and playing pretty well. Unless there was some injury or some other thing that happened where he was benched for the first half because of some team issues that we don't know about. There was no reason for him not to play before he played that 1 minute and 30 seconds, the final 1 minute and 30 seconds of the third quarter.
Yeah,
that was puzzling.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't love Nurse tonight. Again, part of it is the frustration of I just think what they're doing on defense is it's not working, really. Like, Nick Nurse, there are a lot of bad teams in this league. The Sixers shouldn't have the 30th ranked defense or the 29th ranked defense over a month. That's a long time now. Paul George was playing in some of those games. Like, you have Kelly Oubre. You have, again, and Kelly Oubre, some of the off-ball stuff tonight was pretty rough.
Yeah, not his best.
Not his best stuff. Again, there were a lot of people to blame tonight. Some of the lineups that were put out there were bad. And it's funny, those lineups actually played okay, I think, because Adam Bona was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I think some of it was just that the Heat missed some shots during that stretch. Maybe Hero wasn't on the court as much at that point. But I am looking forward to a time when the Sixers backcourt off the bench is not Reggie Jackson and Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry was awful tonight.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah. Reggie played okay. He had an 8-point stretch there in the first half. That was pretty good, kept them in it. And you needed all 8 of those points, clearly. And Kyle Lowry was not great. So you can't – getting Quentin Grimes back and having Justin Edwards coming off the bench along with him and seeing how that all goes is going to be very helpful to see that once they all come back. I mean, at some point, they're going to be healthy, right, where you have a rotation where you can go look at 8, 9, maybe even 10 and say – all right, what's Nick Nurse going to do here? Because he has a lot of guys to choose from. We haven't seen it all year.
Not KJ Martin.
He went along with some second-round picks. We'll see him.
$45 million play?
On Friday. Yeah, the $45 million
play.
Yeah, in 2029.
Stack all those bills up. Maybe it'll get a rebound.
In 2029. Yeah,
exactly.
They'll be getting those rebounds then. But, yeah, man, this was a tough one for Nurse tonight. So, as good as he has been, this was not one that he was good in tonight.
Yeah. Again, and there was a lot of blame to go around. But I thought the treatment of Ricky and Justin was a little bit weird tonight. And that's okay. Those guys will continue to play. They should be back in the rotation more.
The only reason it's not okay is because you had to figure out tonight that, again, that game was within reach all evening long. And the biggest lead, I mean, at one point it was 10. The Sixers cut that down, and they got back in it, and they're down by 4. And you think, okay, the momentum's there. Kelly Oubre is getting fouled on the putback layup off a rebound. They don't call that one. They're just the same one. Rozier smacked him on the arm just the same way Kelly Oubre smacked Rozier on the arm. Missed both of those calls. Then he comes back and scores, which would, again, cut that lead to 2. Those things were critical, and they did not go the Sixers' way tonight. And that's where, some of that stuff really hurt them this evening in picking up this 30th loss of the campaign. 50 games in the books. They have 32 now, Rich. left this season. And as you said a little bit earlier, that with them fighting with the Miami Heat and all those teams in between, the Detroit Pistons, the Atlanta Hawks, got to find a way to steal these games, man. Got to find a way to steal these games and pick up a dub. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We come right back, and when we do, we got to talk about Tyrese Maxey, his game. We've been pretty quiet on him tonight. Get to him.
He's earned it.
Yeah,
he's earned us being quiet on a so-so night.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. Yeah, he's earned it. All right, when we come back, we'll get to Tyrese Maxey, player of the game, WTF moment, talk about the trades around the NBA and how they may impact the Philadelphia 76ers, potentially in the buyout market as well. We'll do it all right here on the PHLY Sixers postgame show presented by Bet365. I let everybody down tonight on the Bet365 side. Tyrese Maxey, as we just talked about, he had a tough shooting night. And while Khalil Ware did his part on the rebounding, he didn't play enough minutes to really get the points to equal that 22.5 for an over. So an off night for me. I guess I was fatigued too, just like the 76ers. But if you want to rebound, and there are multiple games tonight still being played, you can jump in at Bet365 with their live in-game betting, because they have pioneered the live in-game betting. And with these games going on, you can see where things are trending, maybe with Isaiah Hartenstein with OKC, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander looking at his numbers. Devin Booker in his last 5 games has averaged close to 32 points for the Phoenix Suns against the OKC Thunder. So if you see those things trending in this game right now and you want to get in and jump in at Bet365 for some live in-game betting, since I let you down a little bit earlier tonight, make that money back at Bet365. You also get the early payout if you do win whatever you choose on your ticket in a parlay for the game, however you choose to go about it. That's all available to you, again, at Bet365, which has the widest range of games and markets available for the live in-game betting across 78 sports. And with the breaking news from Bet365, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up, use code PHLY365, deposit $10, and place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. Bonus bets can be used on the spreads, total players, props, futures, and more, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. And don't forget about the big game coming up on Sunday between Philadelphia and Kansas City. You know what bets you have to place at Bet365 for Philadelphia to win, and their running back to do stuff, and their quarterback to score. All of it at Bet365. Must be 21 plus and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And Devon, let's talk about our friends at Golden Nugget Jewelers. While the birds are hunting down a ring this weekend, you can too. Doesn't just have to be the Eagles. Golden Nugget Jewelers is located at Chestnut and 8th in downtown Philly. They are a family-owned and operated business since 1987. They have decades of excellent customer service to fall back on. Getting engaged, Golden Nugget has a wide assortment of rings and wedding bands to fit anyone's style. And you can receive a final cleaning and written appraisal with every engagement ring purpose. And Devon, it's not just wedding jewelry at Golden Nugget. You can find watches, Bodner, big watch guy, big Golden Nugget guy, diamond necklaces, diamond bracelets, earrings, and more. You deserve an expert and the best price. Golden Nugget Jewelers, where Philly gets engaged. Head on over to goldennuggetjewelers.com to learn more.
Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers postgame show presented by Bet365. Go ahead and make that wager at Bet365 for the football game. Excited, man. I'm excited.
Excited for that one.
Whew, yes, I'm excited for that one. Make sure you go also follow the great work being done by the PHLY Eagles team that's been in New Orleans for this entire week, and they've been pumping out 2 shows a day. Plenty of stories, articles at allphly.com from Zach, Bo, Fran, Les Bowen, Pat McClune, we talked about also being a big part of it as well. They've just been doing fantastic work there. So if you want to join and become a diehard member, we have a special going on right now because of the push that the Birds are making right now. 1 game left and your football team is in it. Become a diehard. The low price of $36. That's $3 a month to become a diehard member, become a part of our community, and get access to the Discord, get a free t-shirt along with the signing up to become a diehard member. Sixers, Flyers, Phillies coverage as well. You also get the best newsletter in the city from the man to my left and on your screen to my right, and that is Rich Hoffman. So make sure, become a diehard member, sign up, take advantage of this great low price of $36. You won't be disappointed at all. Some great interviews too. Did you see Vinny with Saquon Barkley?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, he got him to do the Saquon. Yeah. So that was pretty cool as well.
Vinny, great week for Vinny.
Yeah, man, it's good to see him back in that element with all the people, hearing the stories about being in the Super Bowl, playing in the Super Bowl, the week leading up to, what it's like, the distractions, halftime. What do you do for that 45 minutes that you're in the locker room? Jamie talked to BG, Brandon Graham.
Sure.
And that was fun. Yeah, the laugh.
Love the BG cat.
Yeah, he's the best, man. He said he wanted to come on and talk some Sixers too. So we're going to get him after the season at some point. Yeah, when I talk to him.
Oh, I would more than welcome.
Oh, yeah.
That would be amazing.
He's the best, man. Yeah, that's my guy, BG. So Brandon Graham will get him at some point. And yeah, make sure you go follow the Eagles coverage because they've been doing a fantastic job at Radio Row.
So what'd you think of Maxey tonight?
I thought he was he had an off shooting night, clearly. And I think that you could see Tyrese Maxey does not get tired. But I think you could see a little bit of the fatigue in the shooting.
Yeah.
Not some of the other stuff, but just the long distance shooting where he's typically making these 25 to 27 foot 3-pointers. Some of them, again, as we've seen him over defenders, off the bounce, getting into his shooting motion where you see it first, it was short. Then when you miss short, you're overthinking maybe that, hey, maybe my shoulder's not square, maybe I'm not balanced a little bit enough. So now you start to think a little bit more. Now the shot is long. So coming off the back rim instead of the front of the rim. And it was just one of those nights for him. And with him averaging, and he extended his 28, at least 28 or more in a game for 16 consecutive games now, he's allowed to have a night off or an off night.
Absolutely.
And tonight, he still ended up with a game high in 30, what he had, 30, 33, 34 points?
31.
31.
But
and Tyler Hero had 30.
Took 27 shots and 6 free throws.
20. I have 28.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I have 28, and he made 6 of his free throws.
Updated, yeah.
Yeah, so with that, he was allowed. He was allowed. He still only coughed the ball up one time, but the shooting just didn't happen tonight. And he's okay. He's all right. I expect him to bounce back with a day off tomorrow, while albeit a travel day. I expect him to bounce back against the Pistons on Friday.
Yeah, I think you put it correctly in that, no, he never gets completely tired. He's never doing the Joel pulling at his shorts move and even PG pulling at their shorts move. But if he's not completely shot out of a cannon, that's a sign that, like there were guys tonight, like Pelle Larsson's a good defender. I thought he was struggling to get by him in a way that, I don't know, Maxey from the past couple weeks would not have struggled to get by him as much. Mm-mm. He did have my favorite move where he goes behind the back and a little lefty scoop. He did have a nice move in the first half doing that. He was not sharp, but I think what you said is perfect. He has been so good recently, so consistent, and has played so many minutes for these guys that he's allowed an off night. Yeah, if you have a supernova Tyrese night, yeah, you might win the game. You might win the game because he has been that darn good recently. You didn't get it, but I also think it's understandable considering how many minutes he's played and how good he has been recently.
How much do you think the Grimes part will help him? McCain's not here right now, so how much do you think it'll help him?
I think it'll help. I mean, I think that's a guy who can take on the tougher assignments. There are times when Tyrese has to guard. I think he started the game. It was Edwards on him. He was guarding Hero a little bit early on, and sometimes it's just a matter of even if the other team's best guy is a guard, like Tyrese, it just makes sense height-wise to put Tyrese on him. Mm-hmm. So, Quentin Grimes can take on some of those matchups. Yeah, no, I think he'll certainly help. I think he'll certainly help as a shooter and as a defender as well, right? Like that, EG has helped him as a shooter so far, not tonight, obviously. But, I think Quentin Grimes will certainly help. And the goal for him, as we talked about at length yesterday, is he'll help both him and Jared McCain move forward when those guys play next year.
Yep.
I think that's fine. If that is your 3-man rotation in the backcourt, that makes sense. I think that's fine. I think there are always going to be questions about, okay, Tyrese and Jared, are they a little too small to play together on a championship team? Let's find out, and let's find out with them playing with a third guard the size and with the skill set of Quentin Grimes.
Yep, absolutely. All right, Bree, let's get to our player of the game here tonight.
Woo!
Adam Bonus with the shocker. Tyrese leads the game in scoring, but Adam Bonus gets his first player of the game honor.
Let's go.
And for that, I have to call him Adem Bona and not Adam Bonus. Congratulations, Adem Bona, for your first and will not be your last player of the game recognition on the PHLY Sixers Postgame show. And our player of the game, Rich, as always, is brought to you by
no one.
Adem Bona. Very nice game tonight.
There was that one sequence where he snuck in between Bam. He fronted Bam, got the steal, and then he threw a hook shot in over Bam
Yes,
on the other end.
did.
He was feeling himself. Obviously, this is one where, yes, if you want to give it to Maxey, that's fine. But Maxey did not have a very efficient game by his standards, by his recent standards. I thought Adem Bona gave them some great energy. He's looking more comfy out there. I think that's definitely true. As we said earlier too, I kind of wish when the Sixers are in a bad spot and the guard turns the corner, just switch. I think Adem Bona as a switch big, you would want him around the rim as a traditional rim protector more, but he can hold his own.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. Some of the best scorers in the league are going to fry him one-on-one, but I don't know. He had Hero one-on-one tonight. Hero wasn't getting a lot of separation against him.
No.
And he can, Jaime Jaquez, he blocked his shot and he said, "Get that out of here."
Yes.
Which I enjoyed.
Brewing on brewing.
Yeah. So I talked about this a little bit in my newsletter today, in that Daryl Morey, some of the best stuff he has done
Who's
as a
in the
Sixer.
chat, by the way, said I drafted Bona.
Yeah. Nice work, Daryl. I will give you credit too for some of the second round draft picks, some of the late first round draft picks, and McCain and Maxey, who have been big hits. Some of the trades, like the DeAnthony Melton trade was a good one. It's weird. The guy who has been known as two things: Dork Elvis, the guy who brought the analytics movement to the NBA, but also the guy who is the star hunter and the guy who collects star players and brings them together. No, the best stuff he's done with the Sixers, I think, has been just good old-fashioned draft, develop, and Adam Bona as a second-round pick. Kid looks like he's got a shot.
Don't forget about the undrafted 2 years in a row with Ricky and Justin Edwards.
Again, same type of thing.
Yeah. Daryl Morey also in the chat says, Josh won't let me fill the last roster spot.
No, Daryl, I think he's going to let you. I think Justin Edwards is going to get converted to an NBA contract at some point here.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. All right. We also have some more super chats to jump in. Bernard McCoy, one more stress on Maxey when and when you don't bench Justin. Yeah, well, we talked about it. So
he's been filling the Quentin Grimes role where he's bombing those threes off the ball, and Justin's been taking the toughest perimeter assignments.
Yep. Well, Marcus Blackstock back in the super chat. Why is Josh Harris being so cheap? You're about to get Rich fired up, Marcus. And what's he going to do with that final roster spot?
So if anybody did not watch it, go back to the pregame show. It's like KJ Martin traded in the title. I ran it about Josh Harris, and
he didn't ran it. He lit him up, everybody,
and him replenishing his coffers. So when you watch the Sixers struggle, just know that Terry McLaurin is going to get a nice extension this year with that money. It's really frustrating. I think with the 15th roster spot, he will be. I think Justin Edwards is going to get that spot at some point.
Yeah. So, all right, those are our super chats. We gave you the player of the game. Let's get to the WTF moment of the night. This was a fun one. WTF moment of the night is brought to you by Rich.
No one.
But there was a fun one tonight at the end of the third quarter we thought that the third quarter had expired. All good. Get ready for the fourth timeout. TV cuts away. We come back. The officials are huddling up at the scorer's table. And we're all like, what's going on? So are the broadcasters of the game, Ala and Kate. What's going on here? What is happening? And Rich, we later found out what?
They put time back on the clock, Devon. But not only that, because they had already done the in-between quarter break, they said, okay, we're going to put 1 second back on the clock for Miami. They inbound the ball to Terry Rozier. He does the field goal savings where, he doesn't take the shot. And then everybody's walking off the court. The camera cuts to Terry Rozier, and he's thinking, all right, that's the end of the quarter. Let's get a rest, and let's talk it over in the huddle. I think you could see Eric Spoelstra. He was walking out the midcourt. He's like, all right, I know we just had this. And the ref said, no. Stay on the court.
WTF moment of the night. We were literally sitting there like, what is happening here? We're all looking at each other, and it was just unbelievable. And Sir Shmuel says that the officiating crew was
they weren't very
show
good.
tonight.
I would agree with you, Shmuel.
Yeah, they weren't very good.
They weren't very good.
That one was really strange. That was really strange. Now, I'll admit, I didn't think that there needed to be another a second, 1 and 6/10 seconds remain. I thought it was over with. But something happened. They figured out that they needed that extra time on the court. And then I thought Kyle Lowry was about to foul Terry Rozier on that 3/4 court shot that he took at the end of that 1.6 left. And I was like, that would have been the worst situation of all time if that happened.
Yeah.
The worst. He did not foul him, though. He contested it, but he did not foul him. So that was our WTF moment of the night.
Stay on the court.
A strange one.
Stay on the court. Rozier misses the shot or doesn't even take the shot. And then the Sixers are inbounding 10 seconds later.
Yeah, let's just inbound it at the other end of the floor. Start the fourth quarter. Strange one.
Very weird.
Very strange one. All right. Trades, folks. We'll get to Colin Barrett.
Lots of trades.
Lots of trades went down. And we want to update you on those trades. If you did not see those, here's what we have overall. Tonight, we had during the game, Jimmy Butler. The long-awaited Jimmy Butler trade was finally completed.
Maybe this wasn't a bad loss. Maybe the Miami Heat were just so happy that guy's gone that the rest of these guys were like, all right.
There was a lot to this deal. And one, did you send Bree that video?
No, I don't think I did.
So there was a fan who was sitting behind the bench, behind the scorer's table, behind the Heat bench. So he's relaying to Kevin Love, Tyler Hero, and Jaime Jaquez the trade details that went down tonight off of his phone to the Heat players.
And they're all like locked in.
They're like, what's going on?
They're like, who'd we get?
And what else, right? The picks and all that stuff. And here are the details. We got to start from the beginning because there were a lot of things going on in this one. So Jimmy Butler goes to the Golden State Warriors for Andrew Wiggins, Kyle Anderson, and Dennis Schroeder, who was not happy about the trade. You have to go look it up. I really don't want to bring it up on the show. Here's
the video.
All right, here's the video of the fan.
Thank you, Bree.
Telling the Heat bench.
And Andrew Wiggins.
Okay.
We robbed them. First round pick protected.
Okay, I'm gonna look at it right now.
No, they didn't give out the ear. No.
Locked in.
I swear to God.
I swear to God.
Locked in.
Look at that. Hero and Jaquez and Kevin Love. By the way, Kevin Love has been, he's at the end of his career.
Unbelievable.
Great guy.
Great veteran.
And obviously, I think he likes playing for the Heat, but is not a Heat lifer by any means. Have you seen him? He's been live tweeting and live Instagramming every moment in the Jimmy Butler saga. When Jimmy, storms out of a practice, Kevin Love has a very creative, funny way to go about it. Kevin Love does not give an F anymore. Yeah.
Great teammate, man.
Great
teammate. And part of the reason why he went to Miami, if you remember at that time, is because of his relationship with those guys that were already there. Jimmy Butler was one of them when he went there. So that was it. So again, Jimmy Butler to the Golden State Warriors for Dennis Schroeder, Andrew Wiggins, Kyle Anderson, and protected first-round pick. But that is not all, folks. Jimmy Butler then agrees to a 2-year, $121 million extension through 26-27. declining his 25-26 player option for the new $121 million deal. As part of that, Dennis Schroeder is then being shipped to the Utah Jazz. I'm sure he's not happy about that. Kyle Anderson was supposed to go to Toronto. That got all screwed up. He's now going to Miami. And if you remember the trade the other day that sent PJ Tucker to the Utah Jazz, PJ Tucker is now being rerouted to the Miami Heat.
Is PJ Tucker still hanging out in Center City while all this is
He's
happening?
still here, and let me I got to reach out to the folks and see what's going on with PJ Tucker. But PJ Tucker is going back to the Miami Heat as a result of all of this. And I'd imagine that Dennis Schroeder will be one of those buyout candidates going to the Utah Jazz, so he might be available out there. I want no parts of him, by the way. It's been a long-standing thing, the feud between me and Dennis Schroeder. I'm out. I understand they can use some ball handling help. He would drive me crazy here. I'm just saying. So that is, I think, everything with the deal. Your thoughts on the Golden State, Miami side, and all that went down, and how, as someone said there in the chat, it also might have screwed up the Kevin Durant deal. Any movement with him, if any reunion with the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, I get it from the Warriors standpoint. They were desperate. They needed to do something. I mean, when you look at the price, they give up Wiggins and Slow-Mo and Lindy Waters and a first-round pick this year. That doesn't seem like a lot for a player of Jimmy's caliber. I understand he's an older player, and I understand the reason that his price got driven down was the last few weeks as well, right? The way he has kind of burned the boats down for the last two of the last three organizations he played for. It's an interesting fit. I mean, him and Draymond on the same team, that'll be interesting.
I'm very curious to see how this one goes. But the one thing for me was, number one, when you talk about not getting the type of return for Jimmy Butler, I think part of it too was because of how he burned things down in Miami. You know, he really turned the heat up, getting suspended twice, fined, and all of that stuff for everything that he did. So I think with that being public, the way that it was, kind of took down the value of what you thought you might get for him. The other part that I thought Golden State did win in this case, they didn't have to give up Jonathan Kuminga. They didn't have to give up Moses Moody. Now, they're not great players in the league, but they're still young players on that veteran team that just got older by adding someone like Jimmy Butler at the age of, 35 that he is. So I think Golden State made out all right. And we've talked about this a ton. They cannot let Steph Curry go out like it looked like he was going to go out with those types of players. You had to give him another star to go next to him. I don't know how it's going to fit, but he had to give the okay. And part of it, too, there was reporting that as they were during their shoot-around before the game, Golden State, they also pulled the team off the floor, closed the locker room for 10 minutes. Steph Curry came out of the locker room back on the floor, and the reporting was he was not saying anything to anyone, so he was ultra quiet. And then the trade eventually happened. So he knew he had to know what was going on, I'm sure, prior to. And they're giving him some help. He needed help. They could not let their all-time franchise player go out without some help.
I would say...
Not that he's retiring now, just saying that he needed help.
And let's even move past the on-court fit, I definitely agree. I don't think Miami got a great return in that trade. But like past the on-court fit, because Jimmy Butler in Golden State's a little weird.
It is.
He's the guy who loves pick and rolls. Like Golden State is famously led by Steph Curry, the team that leads the league in off-ball movement and running guys off screen. So that'll be an interesting fit. I would say even more than that, though, Devon, is that Jimmy Butler is the biggest difference, I think, out of any modern player between regular season Jimmy and playoff Jimmy. But the problem for the Warriors is that they need him to be available enough in the regular season to get to the playoffs. There's no guaranteed road in the West, especially if he's going to miss 30, 35 games every year for general soreness and all of those other things. So I feel like that certainly raises their ceiling in the playoffs. But what seed are they going to get? That West is tough, man.
I think they're going to be in the play-in. Somewhere around there. Play-in.
That's where they were last year, and they got bounced.
Yep, and then they'll try to reload and fix it in the offseason. But so that was the big deal tonight. those guys, Jimmy Butler, the main name, going to the Golden State Warriors for Andrew Wiggins and company to the Miami Heat. Also, the buyout candidate in the pregame show that we talked about Ben Simmons and potentially Lonzo Ball, potentially for both. Neither one were, of course, for sure things, but we were just guesstimating of how things would go. Lonzo Ball tonight signed an extension. I don't know what's going on in Chicago.
I don't know what's going on.
But they
there.
signed an extension for 2 years, $20 million to remain in Chicago alongside the Bulls. So no LA, no Philadelphia, no anything for Lonzo except for more money.
Look, this season has not been great for the Sixers, but the PHLY crew at least knows what's going on with them.
The CHGO crew has no idea what's going on with the Bulls.
Like, at least we can explain, okay, this is going poorly, this is going poorly. I guess we can't explain Joel's knee injury all the way. But in general, we know why the Sixers are struggling. Man, I don't know what is going on with the direction of that franchise. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, we thought Lonzo Ball would be a potential buyout candidate for the Sixers. Oops, 2 hours later, that one aged like milk, as the kids say. So,
let me give you their guard rotation. All right, even though Zach LaVine is out, let me give you their guard rotation. They have Lonzo Ball, Kobe White, Ayo Dosunmu, and Javon Carter.
some good players.
They have 4 point guards.
Yeah.
4 point guards. What are they going to do with that? 4 point guards. I don't know. Just an interesting one overall for me with Chicago. They don't know what they're doing. I don't know what the hell they're doing. They have no clue.
I haven't known what they were doing since Arturas took over.
Yeah.
I mean, the Vucevic trade really is the original sin there. Can you imagine, Vucevic?
And multiple extensions
Multiple
too, right?
first-round picks, Franz Wagner, just no good.
Not good. All right, another deal that happened about 45 minutes ago. The New York Knicks are trading center Jericho Sims to the Milwaukee Bucks, according to Shams, as part of the Bucks Washington Wizards Kyle Kuzma, Chris Middleton deal that happened earlier in the day. So more big man help for them behind Brook Lopez. Take some of the burden off of Bobby Portis, where he doesn't have to play a lot of those 5 minutes. So they get a veteran big man who they can do some stuff, take up some minutes, and help out Giannis there in the front court. Not a bad addition, in my opinion.
Sure.
It's whatever. And as a result, the Bucks are also sending DeLon Wright and cash to the Knicks for Sims.
Yeah. Pair him up with Kyle Kuzma.
There you have it. So that's all the activity. Would you be interested? I would not be. Would you be interested in Dennis Schroeder as a buyout candidate?
Yeah, I would. But I understand what you're saying at the same time, that he's just not much of a passer.
No.
Tunnel vision. But I'm telling you, I just am kind of sick of Reggie Jackson and Kyle Lowry playing minutes. No offense to those guys. They were very good players in their prime. Kyle Lowry was a great player in his prime. The prime's over. So that's why.
I just know he would drive me nuts.
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. These guys drive me nuts. It's just like this Sixers
I
team,
don't disagree. I don't disagree.
It's more than that, though. I'm saying, there's just so much stuff that can go wrong with this roster now. Like PG's bad games. Yeah, I get it. PG will probably play better than he did tonight.
Sure.
But man, the downside is rough. Like when he's bad, he's just not giving you anything offensively. When you run out the Reggie Jackson, Kyle Lowry lineup, sometimes Reggie Jackson's going to shoot it well, but the downside is rough. You just don't have a lot to bank on. The overall defense, you know that they're going to give up a high field goal percentage and they're going to get smoked on the board. There's just a lot of downside risk with a million different things on this team, which is why Tyrese Maxey's been pretty cool recently, because his floor has been pretty high as a player. So that has been awesome. Credit to Tyrese, but yeah, that's all.
Yeah,
I get it. I get Dennis Schroeder. He's very frustrating.
He is. No, he really is. And we want to thank everybody again for hanging out with us here on the post-game show. We're not going anywhere. Just want to let you know, remind you again, follow our show, especially with the trade deadline upcoming. Follow the team account on Twitter at PHLY_Sixers. Make sure you follow that. You follow our individual accounts, Rich Hoffman, Devon Givens, Kyle Neubeck, and Derek Bodner as well, to get the latest and the greatest in regards to the Philadelphia 76ers ahead of the 3 p.m. trade deadline. Okay.
So Derek tweeted that Paul George is going to have to wear the splint for another 6 weeks because he has a torn tendon in the finger, which I think we already knew. I mentioned that last night.
Yep.
But Yeah, he's not going to need surgery, but I think it is one of those injuries where he's basically just going to have to wear that splint at all times. So,
And it's difficult. I understand that, but you're also playing. You're out there. If you can't, then you probably shouldn't. You know, that there's the tweet from Derek about Paul George and the injury, having to wear the splint going forward. I commend that, but if you're going to be a liability offensively like that, I mean, it's kind of tough.
yeah, I mean, I understand. He came back from a long layoff tonight, but a lot of the issues with PG it's stuff we've seen all year, right? His inability to separate and get by people, really just he can't create offense for himself and others. There have been games where he's been able to do that, but there are nights where it just doesn't seem like it's happening, and yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, it really is. So we'll see where things go with that, how he adjusts to the splint, how that affects and impacts things with the team overall. All right, before
by the way, they really should have said that he had a torn tendon in the finger, like
the MRI and all
they
that
made
stuff.
him sound so much worse. Like when you say torn tendon in the finger, you think, okay, that's something that you have to come back from. That's something that that might be tough. Like when you just say out pinky, people are going to be like, what the heck, man?
Mm-hmm.
Rub some dirt on it. Let's go. But when you say torn tendon, it's like, all right, I kind of understand a little bit more.
And when he did it, I said it on the show, just predicting he's going to miss some time.
Yeah,
and he missed a few games, and he came back tonight. He didn't look great. But again, he's out there, man. He's out there. So Kamel Emmanuel was saying Chris Hayes is talking, and you want to check that on Twitter. Chris Hayes and Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram, of course. I was going to ask you about the trade deadline in general, of what you thought overall, what things look like, and how it all goes.
Kamel is correct. Chris Haynes tweeted, the New Orleans Pelicans are in advanced discussions to trade Brandon Ingram to the Toronto Raptors. So not over yet, but that's something that has been mentioned recently.
We appreciate it, Kamel. Thank you for the heads up on that one. A lot going on in the NBA, and we missed that one. So we thank you, Kamel, for giving us a heads up on that one.
It's a fun trade deadline around the league.
Big names, man.
A lot of people moving.
Because the last couple of years, there have been some quiet ones, some really, really quiet trade deadlines that have come and gone, including the 76ers, even though they've gotten some moves and some names, some quiet names. These are some big names, man. Today, Lonzo Ball extending. You got Kyle Kuzma, Chris Middleton, longtime Buck. Even though he's no longer that player, that is something, man. So some really big names. Big name joining us right now from the arena, checking in following a tough loss for the Sixers. Kyle Kuzma on the move. Kyle Neubeck not on the move. He's sticking with us. That's right. Big trade deadline show tomorrow. But before we get to that, we got to talk about this one here tonight with the Philadelphia 76ers. Tough shooting, tough defense, Kyle. And when you still have an opportunity, though, they forced a lot of turnovers, and Miami was trying to give the Sixers the game. This was one that, again, got away. So in four games, 3 of them got away from them in this one as they closed the 6-game homestand with a 3-3 record.
Yeah, fellas, I'm not going to lie to you. I was just sitting here as I'm getting set up at the arena and was like, God, it feels like the game was 6 hours ago. I can't believe I'm going to have to answer questions from Devon and Rich on this game. I think if we would have sat here and given a 1 or 2 sentence summary of this game, you would have said they were 12 for 40 from 3, and it is just borderline impossible to win a game when you shoot that way. I will say, I thought it was a big time tale of two halves defensively. The first half I thought was pretty disgraceful, like just a lot of, hey, Tyler Hero, would you like a red carpet rolled out for you on your way to the rim? And then once they started dealing with him, Hero's hitting the kickouts and whatnot. Second half a lot better on that front. So that, take some small solace in that, I suppose, but it's just hard to get around the shooting thing. And it wasn't like it was one guy, right? If you go 12 for 40, that is up and down the roster. You're having problems. Paul George returned, and he weirdly enough, he actually did shoot well from 3, but that was one of the few things that he did at, a reasonably high level tonight.
Kyle, you know what? I don't even care about the game. What are your takes on the KJ Martin trade from earlier today?
Oh, I figured we were leaving all this for tomorrow's trade deadline extravaganza since
What
we have
else are
so
we
many
going to talk
damn
about?
trades
Adam
to talk
Bona
about.
played well, and PG couldn't get by me. Yeah, okay, yeah, like great.
Well, so here's what I'll stick on the game for a second. Maybe I'll find my ranting boots at some point along the way. The Paul George thing this year and tonight is just, I really struggle with it because I think you can see if this guy is on the floor with Maxey and Embiid, he does fit that third guy archetype, right? Where he's pretty content to just bomb away from three and take catch and shoot looks and do all that. But giving him a max contract and bringing him here as one of your core three for the foreseeable future, there just has to be urgency from him. There has to be a level of want to and commitment from him in these games where it's like, bro, it's you and Maxey. It's nobody else's team, right? You're out there with Justin Edwards and Ricky Council, the backcourt pairing of Kyle Lowry and Reggie Jackson. It's just like at a certain point, you got to. We're looking up in the middle of the fourth quarter, and he's got 6 points to his name, right? And he had only taken, I think, 9 shots up to that point. I don't know what it's going to. I understand he's dealing with the pinky thing, and we did talk to him about that, by the way, if we want to get into a little bit of the injury stuff. But I know it's his first game back. I know it's a slog of a schedule right now, but the light bulb's got to go off at some point, right? Like I just don't know how you can't look around and say, I got to do more than what I'm doing out there right now.
And Kyle, with Paul George, we talked about that a little bit extensively earlier, Rich, Bree, and I, and bringing it to you on this one because we've seen for years with Embiid coming back from his injuries and discussing his struggles when he comes back from these games. And while he wasn't Joel great last night with his triple-double, he still impacted enough to help win a close game with his triple-double. Well, Paul George has come back from these injuries, and I'll exclude the knee because that is a little bit tough to do that, sitting out, coming back, and all that. But he's not 7'2", and he's not 280 pounds coming back. And while he is dealing with this finger issue, he has some really, really favorable matchups in front of him tonight that he just simply did not take advantage of in one-on-one situations tonight to get those points. As you talked about the 3 for 6, Rich did as well. But inside, when you look at his numbers, the numbers weren't great. So, I mean, he probably should take a little bit of heat there for that because in his short time with the Sixers, he's come back and he's not performed coming off of these layoffs with some time off, mind you, and not playing well.
Yeah, so to the point about the layoff and the injury, we did get a little bit of insight from him on, what it's been like. He said when he was in Chicago and suffered that injury that he initially thought his finger had cramped. And then he looked and he was trying to move it. And he said, well, it's just not moving. So that it took the evaluations after that to determine what had happened. They figure out that he tore the tendon. He said to us it is as far as he knows, a 6-week recovery. So this is something he's going to have to deal with for quite a while, right? Like that's, if we're about 2 weeks removed, that's still another month or so of recovery process for him. Now take out the All-Star break, that's still like 3 weeks worth of games that he will have to play through and deal with this and figure out a way. So while I tend to always give guys one game back to say, all right, you're getting used to the speed of things, the flow of things again. They need a heck of a lot more from him. Like moving okay, defensively was decent, but aside from that, just I want to see the guy that we were kind of expecting when they signed him in the summer.
Kyle, did Nick Nurse say why Justin Edwards didn't play down the stretch or Ricky Council wasn't even in the rotation at the beginning of the game?
No, most of the questions after the game ended up being about the trade deadline or, just the fact that they shot tour dates most of the game up and down the lineup. So I guess that's a good segue, Rich, to go back to what you were asking earlier about the KJ trade. I think it's one of those things.
I ask about the trade and you talk about the game. Then I ask about the game.
I'm keeping you on your
talk about the
toes.
trade. Unbelievable.
I'm keeping you on your toes, buddy. I told you. I told you I'd find it at some point.
Yeah.
So the KJ thing, right? They're trying to spin it one way, and it's I can't remember where it's from. It's you want it to be one way, but it's the other way. That's from The Wire, right?
From The
Am I
Wire, yeah.
misremembering that one? Yeah. You want it to be one way, but it's the other way. They're saying it's, flexibility. Yeah, great. And I know that that's the spin. Derek did a great job of unpacking that at allphly.com today. Rich, I haven't caught your rant from earlier tonight about this exact topic, but I heard you got a little fired up. But yeah, it's like, yes, you're creating flexibility if you also dump more contracts, right, for nothing. And I think the real crime of it is I do think there are reasons to want to be under the tax and under these aprons for long-term planning purposes, but they are not the reasons that are being spun by the organization, right? And KJ was a guy that when he was signed, the whole sales pitch was, hey, this is a guy whose contract is a valuable resource for us in order to upgrade the team later, right? It's not that we think KJ Martin deserves $8 million a year. It's that this is something that we can pair with other stuff we've acquired to try to push some chips in, to try to upgrade, whether it's the youth, the athleticism, if you just want, some kind of partner in the front court for Embiid. All those things can be had by using KJ's contract in some way, shape, or form. And so to get to the deadline, and not only, if you want to say you're trading him for nothing, okay, to trade him and have to attach stuff to get off of said contract, which, by the way, is non-guaranteed next year. So it's not like this is long-term money that's like, oh my God, we're really saddled with this contract on the books. It's just a really terrible look for the organization. And people might forgive them if they end up signing Yabusele, or re-signing Yabusele, that it's part of that process and blah, blah, blah. But it really is just a bummer. And it's a statement on the season that has been had, right? Because if everything had worked out, even if you get like a 50th percentile outcome for this season, we're talking about a team that is using KJ Martin more than likely to go out there and get a real deal contributor. Instead, we have to sit here and be like, well, what does flexibility actually mean? Just a sad state of affairs, fellas. So yeah, sorry, Rich, for answering two different questions with what you didn't ask, but I figured I'd get there eventually.
Yeah, that's the commentary on the season, right? We're talking about what is flexibility, philosophical
their
questions.
Season messed everything up in a lot of senses overall. That's just a preview, everybody, of what we'll get tomorrow beginning at 2:00 for our trade deadline special right here on the PHLY Sixers podcast. Kyle Neubeck, Derek Bodner, Rich Hoffman, myself, Bree will all be here with you to hang out, break all the things down, talk about the deals that have already happened leading up to the also 3 p.m. deadline around the association tomorrow. So make sure you all tune in. Kyle, we appreciate it. As always, man, we'll catch up with you tomorrow. We'll see you in person. We haven't seen Kyle and Derek in a long time, man.
No. Got to make sure
this damn homestand has sucked the life out of me. So I hope you guys are still amongst the living by the time I show up tomorrow afternoon. Can't wait to see you guys and get home safe.
You too, man. Thanks, Kyle Neubeck, joining us live from the arena. Make sure you go read his post-game recap at allphly.com. Little breaking news about an hour ago, baseball-wise. We hate him, so we might as well bring it up. Get your reaction. Pete Alonso staying with the Mets 2 years. Can't stand him.
Can't stand him.
One of my all-time most disliked Mets. Got to have one.
Boo.
Got to have one. He's the one.
Took the home run derby so seriously, It was like it's like Eminem at the beginning of 8 Mile, It's the home run derby, Pete. Relax, buddy.
Exactly. Yeah, settle down, dude. All right. Well, listen, folks, this has been an interesting one. It's been a fun one. A lot going on. We get the Chris Haynes news where talks are really progressing with Brandon Ingram going to the Toronto Raptors. I can't wait to see what that looks like in the end. It's going to be a lot of activity tomorrow, folks. So stick around with us. Follow our Twitter accounts as well. You never know what's going to happen. Neil Deaver has been going crazy in the chat. He's been fantastic. He says he's an all-time chatter. Yes, you are, Neil. We always appreciate you checking in. I saw that one a little bit earlier. I thought it was funny as hell. But with that, let's get to our world-famous at the end of the night, end of the show. Roll call. Yes.
Roll call.
Start off with the super chats tonight. Bernard McCoy, Marcus Blackstock, we thank you both for sending the funds and contributing to the show as always. Thank you, fellas, for that. You better love somebody to love somebody to love somebody in the chat as well. Thank you, Yams, Torres family, Igavini, what up? We got Al, the 2-minute warner. What up, Al? PHLY, Rich P, Superb. What's happening on the late night? We appreciate it. Freddie Powell, F. Chillaxin, Holy Cannoli, Rick M, Scott Julius, Boots, Zilla, Boots. What up, Boots? Todd Gebhardt, MPTR, Randy INS, Mr. B, Hinky, and Daryl Morey, both in the chat. What is going on? Love it, though.
Love it. It's like Houston.
Reuniting.
Circa 2010.
Reuniting. Mr. B, we mentioned Paul Kim as well. I see my mom in there as well. Neil Deaver, we got to give you another special shout out. We appreciate it. X-Man. What up, X? Prophet One, SB Code, Theo, Remo K, Randy, Bill H, Jeff, Sal. Hey, Sal, DC Marley, Sir Shmooey, Orange in the building as well. MJT, Kamel breaking the news about Brandon Ingram. Thank you, Kamel, once again. We appreciate that. JS, Kyle Wright, Doug Craig, Aaron. What up, Aaron? Money Mar, John Peace. What up, Peace? Scott, Ike, Jeff, Babor, Chucky Brown. What up, Chuck? With no K's, just 2 C's. It's actually 3 C's in Chuck. I love it. Chima, Alita, Jess with the Purple Heart, Joaquin PHLY, Tom Jackson, Igavini, Nikki G, SS Relabeled. We appreciate it. And we love you all. Special thank you to always on top of things. Always on top of things. The world famous. We talk about the world famous. Roll call. The world famous and the best. The number one. Bree, producer. Production excellence.
World famous.
By the one and only Bree. 4, Kyle, Derek, Rich, myself. I'm Devon. We appreciate it as always, everybody. Make sure you tune in to our special 2-hour and 2 o'clock start time. We did that a long time ago. Now we're back 2 o'clock tomorrow for our NBA trade deadline
Early
special.
day for us, man.
Sixers NBA trade deadline special. Yes, we are at night, man. We're like bats.
Gonna have to wake up earlier.
I know. I can't sleep in and take a quick shower and come in at 5 o'clock and get ready for a 6:30 show. Got to be up early.
You know what I'm looking forward though?
What's that?
Not being here at 11:30 for one night.
I know.
We've been doing that a lot over
the
past week and a
vampires
half.
that we are, man. We are the vampires. We're going to have some food on set. We're going to be eating on camera.
Let's do it.
Candy, all of it. Bree running around in here as well, jumping on camera, giving her thoughts on the trades that are happening. We'll be doing that tomorrow. We can't wait to do that and talk about what this team is going to look like at the end. And by the way, we also have to shout out Nona.
Oh, yeah. Can't forget Nona.
Got Nona. Nona's in there. I miss Nona, and that's my fault. She was yelling at my mom. My mom she was telling on me. She's telling my mom. So, but Jess said it
poor
too.
Mom.
Twice in a week. Well, Nona, you know I love you, and I apologize.
We love you, Nona.
Yes, there's no question. My bad. Right there. All right. We'll be back tomorrow, 2 o'clock. The whole gang will be here. We can't wait to see you tomorrow at 2 o'clock.
We'll see you then.
Everybody have a great rest of your night. Enjoy your day tomorrow. We'll see you at 2 o'clock. Trade deadline. It's going down.
Get some sleep, everybody.
See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.